who you're going to call when there is a security breach. Today, our security practice manager, Matt Pascucci, will be presenting. And for some of those on the line that may not be familiar with CCSI, we've been in business since 1974, and we have various technology silos that we provide to our customers. One is on the infrastructure side, so it incorporates data center builds, IPT, wireless, disaster recovery. We also have the security practice, which we will be focusing on today. But a lot of those other security offerings that we offer are around real-time breach detection, risk assessments, pen and vulnerability testing, DDoS solutions, secure mail, and also endpoint protection. We have a cloud silo with cloud offerings around cloud migration, cloud backup, disaster recovery, and cost containment. And we also provide security application monitoring solutions, as well as we are a managed service provider, and we're a managed security service provider, and we also provide third-party hardware break-fix services for customers. If anyone has any questions today, you can place them in our WebEx chat area. And at this time, I'd like to take this opportunity and introduce you to Matt Pascucci of CCSI. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for joining today. So we're going to go over a little bit of what is a cybersecurity tabletop, why do we need it, what is it, and how do we do it here at CCSI. So we've been really seeing this kind of tick up quite a bit over the past, I would say, 3 or 4 years, where tabletops have become very, very interesting to clients because it's really going to get you that muscle memory. That's kind of how I like to put it, the muscle memory of how you're going to react during an actual event. That becomes with anything that we do. You have to harden yourself, you have to practice, and just getting out there and being able to understand how you're going to react to something before it actually happens, and preparing and training for it is really what we aim to do. So we're going to go forward today. So this is one of my favorite phrases. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Now that's Mike Tyson. What he was actually going forward, what he was trying to get out there and explain to these people while he was boxing then was that everyone has a plan. We all have plans. We all have policy and procedure. We all have incident response plans. Everything's there. We have them in written form, but are we actually testing them? That's really what matters right now. So are we testing our actual plans? Because we all have them. And until we actually get punched in the mouth from a cyber perspective, are they going to work? And we don't want to be sitting there currently at the end of the day, sitting there and figuring out that these plans didn't come through, they didn't work, and we didn't have everything that we should have, or that we had most of what we were looking to get done, but there was just all these little nuances. If we only would have known, we would have fixed something and it would have saved our butts. So this is what tabletops are for. Tabletops are there to sit out there, to learn our weaknesses, to learn our strengths, and to get the group together. That's what we're looking to do. So what is a cyber tabletop? So when we do cyber tabletops here, we're really focusing them on scenarios. So what we like to do is we go out there, we work with our clients, we get an understanding of what they're actually having pain with, what they're concerned with. We go out there and we get a better understanding of what they would like to see potentially better in their cybersecurity platform and within their posture. So we consider that more of like a live event. So we go out, we develop one of these events, and we build that muscle memory for them. So, this is used heavily by, we see the CSIRT team today, management, everyone's there to determine the strengths of improvement. So what we do also is when we get everyone in there, we want to see that we have the right audience too. And that's going to be something that we're going to go over quite a bit over the next couple minutes here, is do we have the right audience that's inside these tabletops that are going to allow us to go out there and get the best bang for our buck. But that group learning per se, that's what really sharpens things. So we have that back and forth, right, that we have people in there, and we want to get the audience in there, and we have the moderators. So I've moderated multiple cybersecurity tabletops, and it's really going out there and getting an understanding of what is at risk, or what could you guys be better at, or what do you want to live right now, instead of actually living a real cyber event and kind of trying to figure it out during that time. We want to get there, and we want to be prepared and ready to go. So we've seen in the past potential insurance has kind of covered some of these things as well. So it's always helpful to go out and reach out to your current cyber policy and see if you have any funds for them that can go out there and get cyber funds for tabletops. It's kind of like your wellness visit to the doctor. For the insurance companies, if they spend, a couple grand out there that makes you better to save their butts, so they don't have to go spend, an outlay of cash after an event, this is something they're all for. But yeah, these are things we want to get out, and we want to sharpen your skills and train you and kind of make you live an event before it actually happens. And that's the Mike Tyson phrase there, right? You're understanding it, you have a plan, but now you're kind of sparring in a way, so you're living that event. Why are they needed? Why are tabletops actually needed? So we're seeing them right now as a big push. Many people are coming out to us right now because compliance is mandating that certain regulations, high tech and HIPAA, especially e-commerce, even to an extent, especially financial services. Everyone's coming saying, we are being recommended or told by our assessors or our auditors that we should be doing tabletops, and that's something we're seeing quite a bit over the past couple of years. It's been a good business model for us, but it's actually a lot of fun too. So, we bring in that targeted audience, like I said before. So when we work with this, we want to try to understand what are your pains. And then based off of that, we select and we try to guide who should really be in the audience with you. So end of the day, it's your decision, but we'll kind of reach back from our experience and saying what's worked for us. Many times we forget that there's a world outside of technology when we're doing these tabletops. So we frequently ask to have human resources involved. We frequently ask to have anyone from social media, anyone from customer care, the call center, because those teams are usually left out. And a lot of times they're in incident response planning, and they're the ones who are going to be hit from the external side. And that's one of the things that we see quite a bit here. I mean, I've been on both sides of these tabletops, so it's always, I had no idea that, we were going to have social media blow up on us after a breach was, externally told in the media, or I had no idea we couldn't speak to the media, or now we have human resources who are coming in there and they have to go out and try to, get memos out to people about what's going on so that it stops the rumors. And, these are the type of things that we're going to bring towards these tabletops, bringing our experience in here. So we want to be able to come to you guys and live an event. Also from the technology side of things, like how are you doing things, what's your policy and procedure, how are you doing visibility to particular threats that are going through your network, how quickly can you determine them. Like these are going to be the common things, but the surprises a lot of times are those one-offs, like how do you initiate cyber insurance, who is your external counsel, what do you do from an external breach, based off of a brand awareness. Like those are the things that we like to bring to the table as well, because a lot of that is going to be occurring at the same time. But these are things too that when we do these tabletops and we get out there, this is really validating your current policy and procedure. So many times we do this. We also have our clients, they send us their incident response, or they send us their DR policies or whatever they have from that perspective that's looking to kind of fine-tune from these tabletops, and we read the documentation. We get a better understanding of where we can possibly push on certain areas, and seeing how people will respond. Is this just a paper document that's fulfilling compliance, or are they actually living this? So it gives us more fodder from that standpoint. It doesn't have to happen, but it's something that we do like to see, because it allows us to really tailor it towards our clients here. We also see tabletops have been heavily used for third-party involvement from cyber insurance. So going out there and showing your cyber insurance carriers that you're doing these, that things are going well, that you're doing these on an annual basis, it's really showing your posture that's improving and you're maturing. So it helps from both ways. So these are definitely areas that we're seeing why tabletops have become over the past couple of years almost a staple today. We saw pen tests, back 5 or 6, 7 years ago, where they suddenly came out of nowhere, and now they have to be driven almost from an annual perspective. We're seeing tabletops are like the new pen test, where now you're not only being pen tested to show your vulnerabilities, but you're actually now doing tabletops to see how you would respond to similar attacks. So how do we lead CCSI? How do we lead a successful tabletop? So I kind of touched on it a little bit before, but we like to gather as much information as possible. We don't have to do this. From my opinion, doing these in the past and being on the other side of the table, the more you can kind of open to the moderators, the better. I wouldn't go out and share everything to everyone that's in there that's going to be involved with the tabletop. So our tabletops normally involve a group of management, a group of leadership in some area. We develop a PowerPoint presentation for them. We have them all in the room together. And then we go over a mock incident, whatever that incident may be. Maybe it's malware, maybe it's DDoS, maybe it's data breaches that have happened through DLP. Whatever you want to actually go forward with, these are things that we will tailor and experience directly towards your organization, towards the area that you're looking to have trained with. So, the moderators that we work with here, we all have deep experience in these subject matters. These are things that we've kind of done. We've done incident response, I call it the real world, but we've done it in private organizations before we've come here to CCSI. So these are things that we've done. These are things that we've fed our families with, and we have a good understanding of how to go forward with that, to build that mindset, build that framework, and review any type of forms, or policy or incident response. How do you do things? What is it? How does it look like afterwards? What are you doing from a post perspective? These are things we're going to bring up. We're going to go through the entire, framework of incident response and how would you hit each one of these from a containment standpoint to a discovery, to eradication, to bringing things back up. So we're going to hit on all those areas, but we're going to do it in a way where we're going to, be playful about it. We're not going to go in there and try to roast anyone, right? So we're going to, have these things. We'll develop the PowerPoint with anyone else that's over there who's leading the charge on that standpoint. We normally like to have it somewhat, it's our recommendation that we kind of build it for that one person and they kind of hold that and we display that throughout the day. Otherwise, people can, kind of be prepared for certain things. And what we want to do is we really want to give them that, that punch to the mouth, like Mike Tyson said, where it's like, how am I going to do this? You want to put them on the spot, because if they're not put on the spot, then it's not really working. But because these incidents come on the spot, and we want to be able to see them, we want to see their wheels turning as we go through these engagements here. But these are group exercises. We can do breakouts to increase the awareness. Normally what we do is we do the tabletop, but we could do, potential other things as well, saying, hey, here's an incident, come back to us later today with some findings or some artifacts or what have you that are showing and proving that you're doing certain things. So, that's also something that, we have done in the past where it's not just a role play, but it's like, okay, this is how I do things, and then we come back and being like, would you be able to prove that? That's not always the case, but it's something that's available to you guys if you want to go forward with it. It's definitely something that we have experience with. So these things can be tailored. They're not just sitting in a room, answering questions, but we like to be as entertaining as possible. Myself and a few other people who have done this for, quite some time, we're not letting anybody in that room who's just going to sit there and not answer questions. So we will be going throughout the tabletop session, pulling information, directing questions towards groups where we've seen in the past who have had problems or who are potential, linchpins to incident response. So nobody really comes away from there just kind of skating through. We're looking to get everybody involved. This is something that, we love doing, and it's something that we've seen quite a bit of success for our clients afterwards, kind of opening eyes, and it's been helpful for us to go through that as well. So some of the deliverables that we'll give you after the session, this is always very important because during the session, we've always heard, pretty good things, how it brings, camaraderie with the group together, and they're like, oh, I had no idea you did that, or, maybe we should speak to XYZ department to see, if we can work together. A lot of times that's what we get. So we get a lot of this, hey, we're working together, we're all on the same team, let's go forward. So, we don't always like to go in there and kind of, be used as a third party, even though that's a lot of the times why we're being called in there to kind of moderate. But we want to leave there with building relationships, not only with you guys, but internally as well. So we'll hand afterwards a report on the findings on areas within your posture that we have determined from the tabletops that are potential risks. These could be anything from you have no visibility into doing certain things in your network. There's no DDoS prevention. I bring that up because we've had that one in the past. There's no ability to go out there and call external counsel, or you have no cyber insurance. Like, these are things we're going to put up and we're going to label through. A lot of these things are great because now you have the ability to help go build a roadmap. Build a roadmap off these findings. We like to say, hey, these are going to be impactful. A lot of times when we do this, we get, the CFO is usually involved as well, and he's like, well, which ones do these you need to spend money for? Which is an honest question for a CFO. So we can go out there saying, based off what we found, based off of what we know about your organization, you don't have to spend too much money in this area, or you have to spend no money in this area. You just have to go out there and make some config changes or policy changes or more awareness. So they see it more as value add because, there's certain things that you might not have to spend any money towards, capital or operationally, but you just have to get a better understanding of how to do things internally better. So that's something that we see as a huge highlight of our strength, as well as bringing it to our clients, because now they're like, okay, these guys aren't coming here to sell anything, they're actively coming in. We want to go and make this more of an awareness, campaign than, hey, we're going to go sell, XYZ service. This is the service. The service is tabletops. But we will help with that, as well as we will break the report down. We will show it by impact, readiness, and by expense, if there is any expense involved. We will also go by the compliance and privacy concerns. So if you're HIPAA compliant, we're going to be saying this is how things are going to be from PHI data. If you're going to be e-commerce, we're going to be focusing a lot of this, potentially regarding PCI data. If you're financially motivated from a financial sector, this could be NYDFS, this could be FFIEC. These are the concerns that are going to be brought up by those compliance and those vectors, and we're going to highlight those within the compliance and privacy concerns of the report. So we give that report over to you guys and to our clients to take a look at it. There's back and forth with editing, as there always is with a deliverable. And after we're done with that, we make a presentation. We come into management, either whoever was involved within the tabletop or potentially people above them, and we kind of show them our findings. These findings won't be a surprise because we will be sending that report over to you, as well as you'll be seeing the presentation before we even do anything. So we like to just go out there and deliver these to our clients so that they show this is the awareness and the impact and the readiness of where we are if there was a real breach to occur. The next steps here. So one of the next steps we like to do is we will like to assist with building a risk register. A risk register is essentially a document that shows all the risks within your organization, who owns them, the time frame they were found, the level of risk, and the description of what is being done currently to remediate them. There could be, findings where you're going to accept those risks, or they're currently open or currently being worked on. So we like to take that and give templates out and build things from a risk register standpoint, and to get our clients better focused on not only, okay, that was great, we had a great tabletop, everything is good, this report looks awesome, and then, day two, what do we do next? That's what the risk register is for. So we break this down within a risk register, and we kind of allow you the ability to now go and manage the ones that were found. So we don't want to just leave you there. We want to give you the tools and the education so that you can go back and continue working and hardening this process so that there is no more issues, so that you can continually refine things. Cyber insurance policy review, that's always going to happen. You can go back to your cyber insurance saying, hey, we just did this. This was done. If there's any questions, we can go back and we can give you like an AOC, like an attestation of saying, yes, we did do a tabletop for you as a client, and we can sign off on it saying the time frame we did it. So you can send that to clients as well, saying, hey, we've done tabletops. We're not going to really show you the output of them, but here's something from our third party saying it was done and when it was done. So that allows you to actually send that out. So almost like proof that this was done. The policy and procedure review and creation, that's something that we do for you as well. So if it comes back and saying, hey, we don't have an incident response plan, or we don't have policy and procedure, we can do that for you. That's something that we do as a service, as well as manage networking and continuous security. These are services that we offer. These are also services that we normally see after tabletops that people have come to us saying, hey, what was that continuous monitoring you were talking about, or what's the purpose for that during security incidents? So these are the normal next steps that we normally see after tabletops. But absolutely something that we can speak about, but definitely I would say at a bare minimum, handing over a risk register of where things are is something that we like to at least assist with. So with that being said, that is the tabletops that we have. We like to keep these things within, 25, 30 minutes so you guys can get your lunch back if you haven't already. But we do have a few questions here. Let me just take a look at the chat box.
I have a couple right here.
Oh, Joe has a few more.
So one was, what's the typical time frame for this type of an engagement?
Sure. So what we like to do is if we have a client who reaches out to us, we can get them in, we can speak about their needs. So we want to really get an understanding of what is driving the tabletop. Is it compliance? Is it security? What sector are you in? Once we get all of that, we go to scheduling. So we'll get our scheduling, or we have a project manager assigned to it as well. And then we come and we book it. And it usually takes, I would say, 1 day, 2 days to finish out a tabletop. And then we come back and we do a reporting, usually within a week's time. And that goes back and forth between our clients and ourselves with editing. And then we schedule a time to come back on site to do a presentation.
Another one was, which departments or personnel from our organization would be needed?
Yeah, so it really depends on the tabletop. So if we're going to go and do a very technical tabletop on how are we doing, cloud security, or how are we doing EDR, these are things that we will bring in, and we will tell you that we should probably be bringing in these particular resources within it. But if it's just a generic, hey, we want to go over how would we survive a ransomware attack, and what would we do from that perspective, we want to bring in everybody that's going to touch it in some way, shape, or form. Like I said before, nobody ever thinks of social media or human resources within a lot of these tabletops, because we want to go out and we want to show if there was a ransomware attack, it's going to come out in the news. How are you handling the news? So anything that's going to work its way out, we're going to help you guys try to bring the proper audience in place. We have a few other ones here too. One was, why are people doing tabletops? That one, I think we kind of went over that a little bit. So people are really doing tabletops today because they're worried about security. Compliance is a driving force, or sometimes they just want a third party in there to either, I don't want to say harp, but to really accentuate that there are needs in certain areas. So that's why we're also brought in a lot of times as well, because we see, a lot of the security groups, they come in and they say, okay, well, we need X, Y, and Z, and then it gets shut down. But now we're bringing in a third party and be like, oh, you actually do need X, Y, Z. And, sometimes their ears are a little more open to someone that's not involved internally. That's just always the case. But yeah, those are the areas we normally see us being brought in from. And we have one more question. Can tabletops be adjusted per identity and per discipline? Have you seen anyone in healthcare do this? So yes, so we have seen healthcare companies do this. It's actually a big part of the tabletops that we do because of HIPAA and high tech driving this. But yeah, we can adjust it to anything. As I said, if it's something that you're worried about, how are you doing? How are you doing data protection for your Epic systems that are in there holding, PHI information? We will go and we'll make sure that we have one that's dedicated to you, that's dedicated towards your business processes. We'll make PowerPoints and notes for you. We'll send them over. You review them. Many times we send them over and we'll highlight an area, be like, I don't know, help desk or network engineering team, and you might have a different team name for them, so you kind of make it your own. But yeah, so that is definitely something that we can adjust per discipline. That's not an issue at all.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Wanted to take this time just to thank everyone for your time today. If there's no further questions, your account managers will be following up to discuss appropriate next steps. Thank you again and have a great day.
Thanks, guys.